Before we had our first commercial break, we were talking about the stadium. And let's sort of pursue that and give you an opportunity to talk about some of the events that have evolved since the stadium and bringing that stadium into fruition.
I think what happened is when we'd gotten out there and begun talking to some basketball and hockey teams about the possibility of coming here, we'd put a deal on the table. In fact, I called it a hunting license that we'd be willing to do with something. I know it got circulated around to different teams. And one day we just got a call out of the blue from the Houston Oilers, and they said, we'd like to talk about relocating to Nashville. And I'll be honest, my first reaction was, sure,
yeah.
sure you are, sure you are, right.
You have to smile on that now, even
that's
now.
Right.
Yes.
And, but we looked into it a little more and found out they'd done some homework, and so we sent some people to go meet with them in Chicago originally, and then ultimately came down, we met in Nashville, and one thing led to another. We got Bud Adams to come to town here, and he and I met, and we talked about some things, and ultimately we worked out the outline of a deal. There were a lot of hurdles to get over and a lot of work to be done, and in the end, as you know, we had a referendum on the subject in the city, which passed overwhelmingly. People wanted the team here. But I'm real pleased with that. I think it's really heightened our presence in the country as a city that has other things in addition to country music. We've always been real well known for our country music roots here, but just wanted to kind of round out the music and show people there were other things here. And I think football has really helped us to do that. The stadium, by the way, just giving an update, is coming along fine.
Good.
We're expecting it to be done right about June 2nd. The first game will be in there in August, preseason games.
So we'll be able to go into it this
Yeah, they're giving tours now.
Good.
If people want to see it, but it'll be finished in June, and then as the first regular season NFL game is, I believe, around the 15th of September, whatever the Saturday is in there. So we're really, I'm looking forward. That'll be a big day.
It will be.
And seeing that.
It will be very good. You know, in addition to the stadium and the arena, you've also been involved in schools and libraries, and especially the construction and a school budget. And let's talk about schools and where schools were when you arrived and when you became mayor, and some of the latest developments, especially the development dealing with busing, which was, I think, a significant element when you became mayor.
Well, you know, I really believe, I talked earlier about downtowns being important. I mean, there's nothing we can do more important in the city in terms of our city's success and health than having the finest public school system that we're capable of having, which I think is a very fine system. There's been a lot of, I think, of estrangement of parents from the schools as a result of busing. If you have children and they're going to school, you know, in different schools a long way away, it's a little tougher to be involved in the school and connected to it in the way that you'd like to. At the same time, busing came in for some very legitimate reasons about the way the schools have been operated in the past. So one of the things that we undertook to do was to try to work together with the plaintiffs in that case, or the people who brought the suit originally, to try to come up with a kind of a way of moving beyond this that was acceptable to everybody. And it took some time. I mean, there was 4 or 5 years of work in there, and meetings and so on. And ultimately, we came up with a solution that everybody could agree on, and the school board and the plaintiffs in the suit went together to the federal court and got released from the busing order. Now, what's going to happen is over the course of about the next 5 years, is there will be a number of new schools built. There's a lot of attention being paid to putting schools back in the inner city areas, because of course it was the inner cities that bore most of the brunt of the busing, with kids being bussed out of the area. And so we're trying to place schools where they'll be naturally integrated, where they draw from different parts of the community in the same school. That's underway. This next fall, we'll see the beginnings of that change, and it'll take about 5 years to complete everything and get all the construction done. But I think it's going to be very good for the school system. We've also done a lot of school building. There's almost $400 million worth of building has either been done or is on the drawing boards at this point and funded to try to repair some of the way we've let the schools go over this last generation, and I'm very proud of that.
What about libraries? I think you've done quite a bit in terms of the construction of libraries and plans and references.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the library system, and one of the things that I wanted to accomplish while I was mayor was, I guess, a real upgrade of that system. We have a relatively small library system for a city our size. In fact, we have about half the number of books per person that other cities do, or the average of other cities that are comparable to us. So what we did is last year, although a year before last, put on the table a major expansion of the libraries, a new main library that was much larger. It's about 4 times the size of the existing main library, and 5 major new branch libraries scattered in different parts of the community. That's all been funded. It's been designed. It's underway. We'll break ground on the first of the regional libraries, which will be the Bordeaux branch. Sometime in May, I believe that's scheduled for. We'll break ground on the new main library in June or July, and by early 2001, we should have all these completed. And it's going to be a major change, and particularly the main library. I think people are going to be stunned by it. It's a beautiful, beautiful design and building.
As a matter of fact, all of this is done downtown. Most of this, the main library is going to be downtown. Is that?
Yeah, the main library actually replaces the Church Street Center that's being built on that site, looking up toward the Capitol. The regional branches will be in different parts. I say Bordeaux is the first one. Creve Hall, Hermitage is getting one, and there are several others scattered around in the area.
And Mayor, I think we were especially interested in the outcome dealing with schools in the inner city. Now, could you sort of give a little more information in reference to that, sort of expand on that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, public schools have for a long time been the way, I guess, the way for kids to achieve and sometimes to leave behind, sometimes the backgrounds that they've had, and so I think it's particularly important to me that children who are in less advantageous circumstances have got access to really good public schools. I mean, it's a great way for them to, to grow beyond the circumstances that they have at the moment. And as part of this whole process, there's been a lot of attention paid to the inner city schools, both in terms of the construction of schools and also in terms of things like the staffing and the computers and those kinds of things to try to help those kids. There are a number of things we've done to try to get some extra money in the hands of teachers for things like like books and workbooks and stuff. Those are things that in a lot of parts of town have been being provided by parents. But you also have a lot of areas where the parents aren't able to do that. And so we want to make sure that those kids have got equal access to those things. It's something I think we have to take responsibility as a city for.
And Mayor, let me interrupt for this final commercial break, and of course we'll be back with our audience following this commercial break.